Hi, I'm Ken Jr. and welcome to TrainWorld TV. Here you'll find the latest and greatest in model trains. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new to our channel, we're glad you're here, and I invite you to click the subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you'll never miss a video. Now, we'd also love to send you exclusive deals and special announcements that you won't find anywhere else. So be sure to sign up for our emails, TW Text, and stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Now, you can find all the links in the description box below or trainworld.com. And without further ado, enjoy today's video. All right, and Happy New Year, everybody. 2024, a brand new Thomas Tuesday. And Christian, thank you for putting this together, and welcome back for a brand new 2024 year. So how you doing, Christian?
I'm doing well, Ken. Hyped as always to be back, but I gotta tell you, Ken, some people were getting a little upset last month. When I gave them the excuse about the Christmas rush and all the orders come in, they're like, I thought Thomas Tuesday's supposed to happen once a month, man. And I told them, it's like, it'll happen. We don't know when, but it's going to happen. And here we are in 2024, and we promised it is back yet again. And I'm super hyped to be here once again.
That's right. We do have to apologize about last month's inactivity for a brief moment. But we were very busy shipping all Thomas products throughout the world. And everybody should be happy to know that we have been doing great and promoting and pushing the Thomas line and shipping Bachmann Thomas items all over the world. So it was a great month, and Santa was out delivering all the presents. So it was very nice to partner with him.
Well, I'm sure you made a lot of people happy. So that's a good reason.
That's right. And we have Bachmann Doug another year. Doug, how you doing?
Very well, thanks. Great to be with everyone, and looking forward to seeing what Luca has in store for us.
That's right. And Christian, you bought Luca in, and we were talking before the hours here. Luca is all the way from Australia. Christian is traveling all around the world to find all the Thomas Railroad fandom and everybody out there. So Luca's it's 10 a.m. over there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's right, my house. And, yeah. All right, I was gonna say that's right, Ken. Yeah, I'm a cosmopolitan guy. I go around the world. I'm not following Bubba, for those you know that reference, but I am. Nevertheless, a cosmopolitan guy. I go around and I find whoever I can from the UK, from Australia, and I think, Ken, we're gonna even be going into maybe some Asian countries in the future streams. We may just well. All right. But, Luca, thank you so much. It is 10 a.m. where you are in the morning, whereas up here we're in the evening. We're winding down for the day, but you're ramped up for your day. How are you doing today?
No, I'm good, thank you. It's practically the crack of dawn, crack of 10 a.m. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I watch the stream like every month, so yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Luca, and thanks for always watching early in the morning. We appreciate that, and it's amazing how far this show has reach and how really Thomas the Tank has touched so many lives. So it's really amazing to hear. And we got so many great comments out there. And Happy New Year to everyone out there. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we kick it off to Luca tonight,
And I'm not sure, Doug, you don't have to run out for any reason, right? You're
No,
good?
I'm good.
Okay. We do have a lot of things to go over, but we are going to kick it off with a brand new raffle for the new year. So this way, we'll get everybody's blood pumping again and back into Thomas Tuesday. So we are going to raffle off. This is the Christian YouTube edition. So Christian has just done a great video on this, and let's see if I could maybe bring up a sneak peek at the moment. But Christian, you want to talk about the great YouTube video that we'll be hopefully putting out in the short time for this great raffle?
Sure thing, Ken. Yeah, I did recently put a teaser when I was just in the store there on Instagram as well as Twitter of Henry coming out of Knapford Station there. But the video will hopefully be released, if not this week, next week, or the following week after that. But yeah, here's just a little sneak peek on him going around the layout. Can't go wrong with the nice Bachmann Henry model. It's a classic model. I would have used my model, Ken, to save you a spare model, but my model I've heavily modified, and it's not the smoothest runner, so I got to give it a good oiling. So I appreciate you allowing me to cut open that blister pack in any way possible to make these videos.
That's awesome. So we want you to put it in the chat. I'm going to do a question. What is the biggest pre-order Bachmann Thomas item right now? So put in the stock number for the TrainWorld's highest amount of pre-order item for a Bachmann Thomas item, and put in the state they're from. So whoever gets that question right will be the lucky winner of this Info Henry green engine, beautiful locomotive that was slightly used by Christian. And if any issues, you can contact Christian directly. But we're going to raffle this one off today. So again, the highest pre-order at the moment for a Bachmann Thomas item. If you have a stock number, you can put in the stock number and the state you're from, and we'll let you know. But
for the record, Ken, I don't even know the answer to this one because it's been a while since I've asked that question, and these things are always evolving. So I'm curious to know what it is too.
That's it. It's amazing how many pre-orders the Bachmann Thomas line and shipping out. It's crazy. So if you haven't got it in your pre-order, get your pre-order in, because a lot of times we get the first shipment from Bachmann and it sells out so quickly that you want to make sure you get on the first shipment there. So that's always good to know there. But great stuff. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, Christian does a great job with all the Bachmann Thomas items. So make sure you do that. But without further ado, why don't we kick it over to Luca and Christian? I'll let you introduce him and kick it off.
Sounds good, Ken. All right, guys. Yes, so those of you who don't know, Luca is known as Elsbridge Productions. He's been in the fandom for, I believe, have you been here for a decade now, right, Luca? You joined in
probably
2015,
around there, yeah. I'm not entirely sure when I started now, but it's been a while, yeah.
Definitely a while. And just for years, he's inspired countless fans with Sodor scenes, as well as 3D printed customs. He's got lots and lots of products to showcase this evening, some being modified Bachmann products, others including complete scratch builds, some from 3D printing, and just altogether a super avid Thomas fan, like all of us watching and myself. So without further ado, Luca, I'm going to kick it right off to you. And the first question I will ask, what initially got you into Thomas? I always ask that question.
I'm not sure whether I started with the toys or the show. I know that my first Thomas toy was a Tomy Thomas and Terrence set, where Thomas drops off the logs and then they roll around and Terrence picks them up and then drops them back into Thomas's train. It just keeps going around in a loop forever. So that was, I think, my first set given to me by my grandfather. And then,
can I just say, your grandfather has excellent taste because it featured my favorite character.
Oh, yes, yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, and then I guess from there I must have seen pretty much every episode I could get my hands on. I had, all the bumper pack VHSs, and I had the complete series DVDs for all the classic series except Series 3. So Series 3 was always a bit of an exotic series because I didn't get to see many episodes from it. I remember being in like a hospital waiting room one time, and they had Trust Thomas on the TV there, and I was enamored because it was like an episode I'd never seen before of my favorite show, and there was this awesome crash and everything. So that was I still remember that to this day. I'm not sure why, but it was a very cool experience. So I absolutely loved Thomas, and then my favorite Thomas, thing of the time I think was definitely Magic Railroad, which I know was a controversial take, I think, but I loved the Viaduct and all the model work and everything, and the Viaduct I think inspired some of the stuff I've made today. It's just it was definitely my favorite movie when I was a kid, and I watched it too many times, I think. Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's definitely what got me into it.
And after all these years, as a young adult now, what has kept you attached to Thomas and the fandom?
Well, I think I definitely left the fandom or Thomas for a period there, but I always kept one eye on the Thomas news of the day, seeing Thomas switch to CGI and all the rest of it. I think I always enjoyed Thomas, but even if it was a secret, I just, didn't want anyone to know that Thomas was still fascinating to me. And I think eventually I saw Thomas content on YouTube and everything, and I learned about stuff like the behind the scenes of it all, where the show was made with models, and suddenly the entire thing became very achievable. Like, this wasn't something that, it's a pipe dream that you could ever achieve something like this. This was made by people who made model trains basically and filmed them and made this amazing thing. So why couldn't I start down the path and do something similar? And then learning about stuff like the Magic Railroad director's cut, if you will, where there was all this secret stuff happening behind the scenes, and there was a completely different film to the one that we got eventually. It was very, very fascinating to a young me. So I tried to learn as much as I could about it, and all that behind the scenes stuff, I think, fueled my interest as I grew up. And of course, I wanted to replicate it as best I could.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dream we've all had. And no, I can definitely relate, like, with a lot of the behind the scenes footage and just realizing how much went into, the show, from the craftsmanship to the artistry to the narration, the music, all these elements, to make this beautiful product as an end result. And then even as adults, we look back, right? Like, we talk about this often, on Thomas Tuesday, but we look back at these episodes and we realize just how much time and effort were put into the show, for really anyone to enjoy, looking at these seasons of the show. So, and then even right off the bat, I know I'm kind of foreshadowing what we're going to get into, but looking at the Viaduct there, that's just a perfect example of what we're discussing. Picturesque, right? That's just one way to define it right there. But I also wanted to ask then, so you mentioned the model work and the artistry in that sense. What has kept you attached to Bachmann Thomas and just like Thomas model railroading altogether?
Well, I got my first train set when I was probably about 6. I've still got it. It still works. If you treat them right, they will last forever, of course. And I watched some of the early YouTube remakes and some of the people we still look up to today. Some particular inspirations for me, I think, were TARDIS Rescue and Caleb Train. They made some amazing stuff, and they still make amazing stuff today. And there was always a want to replicate what I see on screen. And there is something about adding a final touch to a model and getting it in your brain to look exactly like you want it to. And it's like, this is, how Thomas looked in Series 4. This is what I've nailed. This is what I want to see. It's a really good feeling to get it something exactly how you want it, or as close to as you can. And I think that sort of, I don't know, that's gratifying nature is just what kept me into it, and keeps me going today.
Yeah. No, and of course, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because, we're so particular of how we want these models to look based on what we personally remember in our heads. But at the same time, it's a curse, right? Because it's a curse because of how anal retentive we can get and how frustrating it can get, because it's like, oh man, was that the exact shade of blue that he had in that season? Or man, was that the exact type of headlamp that he had in that season and that particular part of his boiler and all these other, specified details, right? So it's amazing as to how far, how many options and how much we could do with these models altogether. The possibilities are endless. So anyways, That's wonderful. Yeah, such a incredible backstory. And you mentioned Caleb Train, who we had on a few months ago, and he too had a very similar backstory. Looking back at other YouTube creators who then had inspiration from other YouTube creators in the show and other YouTube creators in the show. And it's wonderful to see, like, it's just like the snowball effect, right? As we go from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. And one day it's going to be someone in a few months from now even saying, oh yeah, it was Elsbridge Productions that inspired me to do what I'm doing. And then the list is just going to keep on going on and on and on. And that's what we
Hopefully
want,
forever.
so
Yeah,
that we keep the
absolutely.
spirit alive, So,
Yeah.
anyways, shall we move on to your customs?
Yeah, of course. Well,
Fantastic.
I guess we should start with Thomas, because he is the star of the show. So this is my main Thomas. It is obviously here a Bachmann Thomas with a few small modifications. The face is different, of course. I've tried to go for the season 4 aesthetic. That's my favorite series, so I try to model everything around that where I can. I have replaced the whistles with some 3D printed ones. And I have shaved down the buffer beam there to make it slightly thinner. Replaced the lamp with a 3D printed lamp. If I can get that shot. There we go. And apart from that, I've added some chains. There's not really much to do to Thomas. He is pretty good out of the box, He's a great little model, and definitely seeing this as a kid was inspirational, because it was like, that's basically what I see on screen, just put into a product. It was amazing. So I think a lot of people started with a Thomas model. And then, of course, Percy is another big one. I did a little bit more to my Percy. Obviously, different face, replaced the lamp with a new one. I would like to replace the whistle at some point. I dremeled out the windows a bit to make them slightly larger. That's just a personal preference of mine. The bunker, I also dremeled out like the fake coal load and the sort of lines in the side. I'm not sure if it's very visible. You can kind of see it there. And replaced it with some fake coal, gave it a coat of black paint, added a coupling to the back. There's a few little things, small improvements just to make it look a little more accurate to my eyes. Because you can do a lot of small things to the models to get them to look a whole lot better. And it's just very satisfying to be able to do that. Let's say James next, if I can reach. Again, there's not a whole lot of huge things done to him because he was pretty good to start out with. This James has seen better days. It was one of the first engines I got, so a lot of the lining is sort of a bit wonky now from me handling it. Not great when I was younger, and me trying to fix up the mistakes and not doing it to the best of my ability, let's say. But what I have done, of course, is replace the face, the whistle. I painted the side of the smoke box there. I took off the roof and added a new one with a 3D printed whistle there. The roof is now just a piece of cardboard that was painted black. It's maybe a little bit thin, but I can live with that. The buffers are, I just put some hole-punched paper over the buffers to make them slightly bigger. Really, I'd like to replace those with some proper buffers. But when you're filming these models, you can't really tell if you're not focusing at a certain angle. The wheels painted black, and I think that's really about it. But as I say, I would like to replace James at some point with a slightly neater, cleaner model, but that's a project for another day. I've got too many projects started littering my desk, which I've got to get to before I start something else. But of course, I keep starting other things. Let's move on. Actually, before I move on from the engines, I like making little things that you can add onto your models to make them just to make them more interesting, to do more things with them with stories and all the rest of it. So I 3D printed some snowplows, which you can add onto the engines. I've got Thomas's one, James's one, which is a slightly different design from the CGI series, I believe. There's Gordon's one from like the later model series. They've all got slightly different designs to suit whichever engine it's for. So I've got quite a few of those. I'll just put those to the side. Let's do a building for a change, because one of the things I enjoy doing most is making buildings. They're easier, I think, than engines in some ways, because you can weather any imperfections. You can just say, oh, that's just a bit of weathering rather than a mistake. So for instance here, this is the winding house from the Slate Incline, specifically the one from Series 4. It's got a little knob on the side that you can turn to sort of move the barrel up and down. So you can put this at the top of a hill and have it pull up the empty slate trucks and have the full ones come down. I think, Christian, you've got one on your layout, I believe.
Yes, it's all the way in the far corner. In fact, should I go grab it? I don't know. It's the same thing.
It's the same one, yeah. It's
the same one, but yes, and I've yet to put the chains on, but I'm looking forward to that project at some point. So
yeah. I was always fascinated by this building because it was sort of kinetic. It moved in the show. It had a purpose, and there was, of course, some great crashes with it. So that's always fun. So that was a very simple building. It's just 3D printed. I designed it in SketchUp like I do with everything. It's very simple shapes, so it wasn't too difficult to design. Let's do some of the narrow gauge rolling stock while we're here, because that was the narrow gauge incline. Swap that one out. So we've got a few open wagons and slate trucks here. The Bachmann slate trucks are excellent, of course. This one is based more on the Series 4 slate trucks, which are larger and just look a bit different. There's an open wagon here and a different type of open wagon, of course, all from Series 4. They're very, they've got sort of paper clips bent to make the couplings rather than just buying couplings because I'm cheap like that. They have wheels taken off some old rolling stock that I found for very cheap at a train show. So I'm quite happy with those. I need to replace some of them with newer versions because I've updated some of the details, but that's a project for another time. What else have we got here? Got some of the narrow gauge water towers, which I think Christian also has. So we've got Rusty's fuel tank here as well, which I'm not super happy with the sort of angularity of the barrel. You can kind of see the lines there, but maybe someday I'll fix that. Christian's got yours as well.
Yes, pulling up the screen.
Very nice.
And I'm actually going to pull up a Bachmann Peter Sam, the latest logo release, just to show how wonderfully it scales together.
Yeah, it was very difficult to get that to scale right. I tried many different times, and I think I've finally got it about right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I've yet to paint the bottom gray, but yeah, I did paint the top green, but yeah, honestly, I should have gotten Rusty, because this is really for Rusty, but oh well. It's nice, nevertheless, for any engine.
Yep. We've also got the round and the square water towers. These were all FDM printed, so the detail's not great. I've got a resin printer now, which of course I'd like to reprint everything in resin, but it's a lot of effort. So these are okay. This one I will probably replace at some point because the sort of spout is a little bit mangled there, but that's okay. Speaking of Rusty's water tower, if I can find him. Whoops. We have Rusty himself here. So this is the Bachmann Rusty chassis, of course, because I have, of course, a Bachmann Rusty. I did want to make a more Series 4 styled Rusty, so I've started 3D printing a body. Of course, this is not finished. This is a work in progress. I have just spray painted it an orange paint from Tamiya, I believe it is. It needs all the black detailing for the roof and the radiator and all that sort of thing, but it's coming together. It shouldn't be too difficult to finish this one off. I'm looking forward to having it finished. I have got a few faces for him, which I need to paint up as well. Faces are always the most difficult thing because they're very hard to get right.
Especially at that size. Jeez.
Yes, they are very small. I might outsource that job to someone else who's a bit better at it than me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I got the steady hand.
Yeah. What else have we got here? I might grab this one.
Toto Dan the man says, "You blew Rusty's mind with your customs."
Well, thank you. Here we've got the Tidmouth Works building. So this is all 3D printed. I made 2 versions of this one which is this size here, and one which is a bit longer to accommodate a few more tracks, because I think in the first series there was a much bigger shed, and they eventually rebuilt it into this one here. It's all just 3D printed plastic, nothing special. The weathering job is very simple. It was just dry brushed on black acrylic paint. I first sprayed it all with a white spray paint to get the sort of mortar of the brick, and then went over it with a pad with the sort of bone white color, and then picked out all the green and the red detail, and you get something like this at the end. This one's very big. I sell a lot of my models on Shapeways for people to buy, but something like this is way too big to put on Shapeways. It would cost thousands of dollars on there. So if people want this one, I sometimes do commissions and stuff, but it's a lot of work. So I don't make a whole ton of commissions like that. Let's see.
Look absolutely beautiful with the Bachmann engines rolling stock inside. I think one of your shots you had James in there, right?
Yes. Yep, I definitely have had James in there before. I saw the shed in your video just then with Henry at the start.
Oh, yes, that's right. I just realized that was the opening shot.
Yeah.
Until now. Sometimes I just do these things subconsciously, and it's like, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. You're just on autopilot.
Exactly.
This one here is a more recent model of mine. It's a Ravel kit that I modified. I 3D printed some new details like the superstructure up here and the chimney. I wanted it to look like I can't remember the name. I think it's Lord Mount Venus, the ship from the show that's often seen in the background. So when I do a sort of harbor scene, this will definitely be in the background. I'm quite happy with how it came out. Up close, it doesn't look as great. There are still some print lines and that sort of thing. But since it's only for the background, I'm going to say it's good enough.
That's amazing. And that's 3D printed too?
Not all of it, just most of this section here is 3D printed.
Okay.
And I cut up some of the parts that came in the kit to modify.
You freeze?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Heard a doorbell. It's pretty amazing, that ship, though.
Christian, when we come back, can you ask him how many hours for both the shed building and the ship? I mean, the workmanship is incredible on both those structures. So hopefully, I don't know if you're doing technical stuff here, trying to get him back, but
we got Mayday, we lost contact.
Oh no!
Yeah, Luca, if you can hear us, maybe, because I can't control him, but maybe exiting and entering again, so that works.
Yeah. All right. I guess in the meantime, we could go over the raffle winner.
I'm curious to know, Ken, what is the most...
I'm curious to know, too.
Yeah, so we had a lot of good guesses. Some people guessed Stanley. I saw Rebecca. But it is N-Scale Gordon as the top pre-order item. And actually, that outbeat H.O. Thomas with DCC and Sound, which you would think Thomas is Thomas, you know, but N-Scale Gordon. Everybody wants that big steamer on N-Scale.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I saw.
What that means. You know what that means, Doug? We got to come up with N-Scale Henry at some point.
Oh, the pressure's starting already. It's okay. It's all right.
That's it. So I did see a couple of winners out there. So Christian will pick someone at the end of the show, but they'll get the Christian edited Henry. I'm sorry, yes, Henry. They'll get the HO Henry. Gordon was the winner, and Skill Gordon.
And that's extra valuable because it was used by Christian.
That's right. That's right.
Ramping up my ego, Doc.
Absolutely.
And I guess we'll continue to fill in the spot until we get Luca back in. But
He's still not backstage, Ken?
No,
Okay.
just a blank screen right now. But he seems like he's entering back in.
Okay.
There we go. Hold on.
Great.
False alarm.
Hello? Sorry about that. My router just suddenly turned off. Also happened now and not at any other time. Sorry about that.
No problem.
No problem. Anyways, we were looking at the steamer
boat.
or the boat.
Yes. So yeah, it's the ship is actually half the scale that it should be. I think it's about 1 in 120, something like that. So when I printed the new parts, I tried to make them much larger to sort of accommodate 00/80 scale people. The boat overall is still a bit too small, but it will do, I think, for the background.
Amazing.
And the weathering I was also quite happy with. I did a lot of rust weathering on this, which I haven't tried before, and I think it came out pretty well.
And how many hours of work did that take to construct that?
Ooh, it was a good few weeks. It's hard to say with my projects because I start a project and then it sits on my desk for months, and then eventually I come back to it.
I can relate, yes.
Yeah, I've got a Bachmann Henry here that I've been modifying. It's been there for years. I'll get to it one day.
One day.
One day.
Yeah. You might be 50, 60 years old, but one day it'll happen.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, yes.
Well, however many hours it took for that, the boat and the sheds are well worth it. Beautiful workmanship.
Thank you. I will wrap up shortly here. I think one of the last ones I will show, depending on how time is going.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
This one here is my custom Toby. It uses the Bachmann shell still, which you can see if I can get that off. There's the Bachmann shell. Just slides straight on there. It's not screwed on or anything, but since this is my model, like I know not to pick it up too wildly there. The body is 3D printed. Basically, everything is 3D printed. I didn't design the face, but I did paint it up. It's all painted with acrylics. Some of it is starting to warp a little bit, but hopefully it's not too bad. Yeah, the roof is warping slightly, but that's okay. The Bachmann Toby model, the proportions are great, but there was a few small things that I think they couldn't add because it's a toy that has to be used for a younger audience as well as an older audience. So I wanted to add things like the handrails there and the open cab, which would be just a bit too delicate on a production model, I think. I also made the windows openable, just like that. Just add a little bit of fun. And I'm very happy with how this one came out. I used it in one of my, I think it was the last YouTube video that I made, the original story. But I try to do a story every year, but it doesn't work out that way. I missed last year, but I have an idea for the next story, whenever that is. But it's going to be very narrow gauge focused. So I'm going to need a few things before I can start that one. So Doug, if you ever wanted to make a Bachmann Duke, I would be very happy. But of course, I don't think that's going to happen.
So you're saying that your production depends on our Duke?
Yes. I'm going to have to hold off.
Wow, I don't know if I can help you anytime soon on that one.
That's okay. I kind of figured that would be the case. I will find a way around it. Yeah. So if we've got a little bit more time, then I will show off a couple other small things. This crane is all 3D printed parts. A lot of it was just cobbled together from spare parts from other things. But I watched Tugs, which was the sister series of Thomas, And I was always fascinated by the cranes in the background. They were always just very visually appealing. And of course, they carried over into the Thomas show. So I thought, why not make a crane from tugs? It doesn't have much movement in it. Like, you can pose this, but it won't stay. So it's just for show. It doesn't do much. It's definitely not as posable as the Bachmann Cranky. I would love to make something like that, but I think this will do for the moment. I think this one I used in a video as well in the quarry in Cow Catchers for Thomas, I think it was called. Same with this. This is a hopper that was used at the quarry, all 3D printed again, as is everything here. Very, very simple design, but I'm quite happy with how it came out. And it's all these little details that you put in the background that really make up a set or a scene. So the more of those I have, the better, I think. What else do we have? I've got the... years ago, I designed my own narrow gauge coaches. These ones are a bit different to Bachmann's ones. They're mainly the type that Bachmann didn't make. So like the open carriage, the green one there, with their own faces here. The faces are a separate piece that are just glue tacked onto the front. I'm actually very happy with how the faces came out. I think they look pretty accurate. They are quite simple faces, but they tickle that certain itch in my brain. So I'm happy with how they look. Yeah. What else do we have here? We've got the Bachmann Annie and Clarabelle. These ones, they look great already. All I did was paint the chassis black and the handrails gold, and then they're pretty much good to go. I also put on a coupling on the ends there, just for a little bit more added detail. And I took off the coupling from the back of Clarabelle so that, because Thomas usually doesn't pull anything behind Clarabelle. Occasionally there'll be some trucks or something, but I think it looks a little bit nicer without the hook and loop coupling there. So happy with those ones for the moment. And got some Bachmann milk tankers. These are pretty stock standard, except I added some 3D printed little braces there, which are very, very fragile. But they add a little bit of detail. The braces are molded onto the tanks already, but I figured why not add them as a separately fitted piece. And then I just weathered them slightly with some weathering powder, which I haven't actually secured. So I've got to handle it by the chassis, otherwise all the weathering powder will come off. But someday maybe I'll give it a matte coat or something. And then let's do this here. So with 3D printing, a lot of the time you have failed prints, which end up in the bin most of the time. However, sometimes failed prints can be useful. So I was printing some of the coaches, the prints failed, and I got some pretty useless prints. But I figured you can put together some of these pieces and make like an old weathered scrapped coach sitting, beside the line. So I'm actually pretty happy with how this came out. You can see there, the roof. This is how it came out of the printer, all kind of beat up. But I thought that looks pretty perfect for an old dilapidated coach. So I'm actually really happy with how this came out, even if it was an accident, basically. And then it was just painted up with some brown acrylics in various shades. And it sits beside the narrow gauge line and looks pretty good. We'll do one last thing. And something a little bit different that's not 3D printed. This is my childhood Tomy Farquhar station. It's very toy-like as it comes, but with some just acrylic paint, I brushed it on and took it off the top to give the mortar a different shade, because originally this was basically all one color, and then picked out some of the green details with paint. And now I reckon this would look right at home on a layout. So you don't have to 3D print everything to get something to look good. You can, buy a product off the shelf or something you've got from your childhood, and with a bit of paint, it can look pretty good, I reckon. So that I use every once in a while on my layout. Oh yes, I forgot. the main thing I think most people are probably interested in.
Yes.
The Viaduct. It completely slipped my mind.
Before we get to that, because that's going to be the grand finale, Ken, I did put in the private chat a link to Elsbridge Productions' YouTube channel. I was wondering maybe with the recent upload for some that features some of these customs, we could maybe showcase and he could talk through them. Would you like to share the screen, or should I share the screen for that?
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Okay, great.
You want the trouble on the tramway?
Yes, some beautiful shots in that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you could also talk about some of your filming techniques and for lighting and filtering and that kind of stuff, just to really bring out these models, both Bachmann and custom.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, all of this stuff that you see on screen was filmed just behind me here on these few tables. It's usually not got all this mess on it, but I'm in the process of building the viaduct, so the mess has to stay for now. Most of these models are Bachmann, or like obviously Henrietta there is a Bachmann model. The water, I printed off sort of a little trough and filled it with just a little bit of water to give it just an extra little bit of detail. The reflections, I think, look really nice against the light. There are some things I would improve. The roadway doesn't look great. It's just cut up cardboard, basically. But everything that I build for these videos is very temporary, because I build one set and then tear it down. So I don't really want to be sort of doing putty and cementing in a track to make a tramway. There's the Toby, of course, and Mavis. That's a Bachmann Mavis with a couple small additions. The baseboard here was just a piece of cork, a big piece of cork, but I thought the color is pretty right for a quarry floor. So I just added some ballast and some rocks, and I think it turned out pretty well. All the details in the background, like the shed there, are all 3D printed. Yeah. The smoke was done by a smoke machine just off to the side. Just press a button every once in a while and you get a little bit of smoke. I found that less smoke is better. You just need the hint, the suggestion of smoke sometimes, rather than covering the scene in it, because they're only small little engines. I think the tracking shots like this I did by simply putting the camera on a little flatbed and just rolling it along by hand.
Very cool.
Yeah, those are little 3D printed horse and cart there. I didn't design those ones; those I just found online. The people were also designed by someone else. I can't remember their name at the moment. I apologize, but they did a very good job on them. So I love those little figures. I've made a few larger ones as well for close-up shots, which I think I use in this coming scene. Oh, the backdrop as well is just a big piece of some sort of artist board, foam board or something, that I watched a few YouTube videos on how to paint skies. And painted a blue sky like the one behind me here on one side and a sunset on the other. And I think they came out pretty well. I'm not super happy with the sunset, but it's usually obscured by buildings and that sort of thing, so it's not too bad.
That sunset backdrop, sorry to interrupt, but that sunset backdrop kind of reminds me the way the clouds are configured of that one from season 5 where you have Harold going by. Was that
that was definitely the inspiration there, yes.
Nice.
I also put a strip of LEDs just in front of the sky backdrop to give it a bit of light, because the sky has the sun. It is bright, you want some light on it rather than having it in shadow. It just makes it look a little bit better, I reckon. Inside the little pub there, there's a little one of those electric tea candles, just to give it some flickering light, some movement inside the buildings there. All the lights for the video are just basically what you see behind me, these little IKEA lights attached to the shelf there, or just the ceiling lights, but nothing special. It's all stuff that anyone could just have lying around.
It looks incredibly realistic, which is amazing.
Very cool.
these are the close-up models that I was mentioning, slightly bigger versions of the human characters. They look very nice when they're painted up well.
Just like the show. Just like the show.
Just like the show, yep. You can learn so much about modeling and stuff just from watching the show and understanding how they made certain things. That's definitely my main inspiration there.
Did you paint up those figures yourself?
I did, yes, yeah.
Great job on those.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how they came out. Yeah, and you can see some of the water.
Let's remember, guys, our jobs are going to be so much easier once Bachmann's figures come out.
Absolutely, yes. I'm looking forward to seeing those. And the whole removable base side of things is very intriguing.
Removable bases too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're making progress, gentlemen.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Just, you talked about wanting to add so many details or buildings and structures in the background, and seeing this video, it just really pays off. The density is amazing, and it really does add so much. And just in this video as well, seeing Toby in action with all your custom additions and changes also really pays off. He looks great in the video.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how he came out. Yeah, this video I think is a new standard I've set for myself. I'm happy with how this one turned out. There are definitely things I can improve, but that's always the case. You know, you're never going to be 100% happy with anything. But if you can see where you need to improve, that's a good thing. You're always going to be moving forward.
Looks great.
Yeah, and how did you get the road vehicles to move?
That, you can kind of see the string there. Yeah, that was just pulled in the this whole clip here is reversed, so I pulled it the other way.
Oh, okay.
The video, yeah.
Clever.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Even the detail on the train, that's pretty cool. It just adds that extra realism.
Yes, yeah. I love those little details. It just makes the world feel lived in, and yeah, just gives you something interesting.
There's Terrence.
Terrence.
Yep.
There he is.
It's a great little model.
Very cool.
Just gotta bring in that spark, right, Doug?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if someone's favorite character appears, you got to acknowledge it.
Of course. I can never answer that question. Who is my favorite character? Because it's always changing. You know, like when Bachmann Skarloey came out, that was definitely my favorite character. It was just amazing to have a tiny little Skarloey model. But then it changes, and you know, Peter Sands may be your next favorite model because I've got his model on the shelf behind me as well. It's always changing. But I'm glad that some people know, Terrence is my favorite character, and it's never going to change.
Very cool.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we're challenging you with some new models that can be favorites as well. That's great.
Absolutely. I think that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Great job, Luca. Pretty amazing.
Should we finish off with that grand finale, the viaduct in the back?
Yes, I won't forget it this time. Let me switch to my phone. A second here.
You guys are in for a real treat when you see this viaduct.
Just in the background, it looks great. So seeing it close up is going to be a treat.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. Can I switch? I don't think I can switch my camera around.
There's a button somewhere. I remember it took me like a minute to find it.
There you go.
You're getting a little muffled, Ken, just FYI.
Okay, so this is my latest project. It's a work in progress. The brown that you see is not going to stay brown. This is just the dirt layer before I put on the static grass. But of course, this is the viaduct seen from series 1 until I think 16, something like that. This specific version is based more on the Series 6 version because these little capping stones, or whatever you want to call them here, were only seen in the Series 6 Plus model. But I just liked how they looked, even though I'm more of a Series 4 fan. I couldn't stop myself adding those. We've got Gordon here, who's pretty stock standard Bachmann Gordon, just with a new face, and some express coaches. So all of the bridge here is 3D printed, painted basically the same way as the Tidmouth Works shed, sprayed white, and then I used a little pad to sort of paint on the bone white color, and then weathered with dry brushed black acrylic. I picked out a few individual bricks just to give it some more interest. I've still got to add the sort of sandy layer to most of the bottom here. Not 100% happy with that yet, but we're getting there. I only did that yesterday. The water will need another coat of blue, and then I'm going to put some resin water on to make it nice and watery. And then we'll add some gloss Mod Podge as well, which you can sort of blow around with a straw to give it sort of ripples, which I think that will look pretty good when it's done. The actual construction is made up of these cardboard spaces that you find in packaging for TVs, sometimes Lego boxes and that sort of thing. So it's all made of that. It's not too heavy, but it's definitely not easy to move around. You definitely need 2 people to get this moved around. It's going to be a bit of a task to film on because the sort of end of the set just ends abruptly. I'm going to have to build something up here to make sure the trains can actually run through to get a few shots. But I'm sure when the time comes, I can figure something out. Not going to be the end of the world, I don't think. You can also see the sky backdrop there. You can see how it's just painted by hand. I went basically from a very light, I started from white at the bottom there and made a gradient of blue through sky blue to a darker blue at the top. Probably a bit too dark at the top, but that's okay. And then I stippled on some clouds with some white. I'm pretty happy with how those came out, especially the ones down low.
Yeah. It's amazing. I wouldn't have known you painted that. Like, it looks like something you would have bought at a store.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, up close you can definitely see the brush strokes, but
okay.
Still, I think that looks pretty
Maybe
good.
a little bit. From afar, though. Amazing.
Yeah, definitely. It's all from afar. That's my excuse. You're never supposed to look too close. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to finishing this one. Not sure when it will be finished, but we'll get there.
Beautiful. Make sure you send pictures when you finish it.
Yeah, I will definitely be posting it all over all of my social media. Yeah, it's going to be great. I think that's everything I had to mention. Yeah.
I know it seems, it's probably kind of obvious, but I love the depth of it so that when you show it at an angle, you see how wide the viaduct is. It just gives a better sense of realism instead of not necessarily seeing the straight on shot every time. Just the depth is interesting. And I think adds absolutely. a lot to the whole scene.
Yeah, I made sure to make the sort of flow of the river curve off at the end there because when you're filming, you don't want to see the end of the set. So if it curves off to the side, then you can imagine that it keeps going instead of just going straight through and ending abruptly. So I think I'm pretty happy with how that came out. That corner there might be an issue when I'm filming, but I'll work around it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah.
Well planned.
These are all my trains and everything here, stored haphazardly. My buildings and everything else. Too much, I think, but I use it all at some point. So, yeah.
Very neat.
That's it. I might switch back to my computer now. So I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Great job. Really excellent.
Yeah, it's beautiful work. Obviously, it's well thought out. Thinking about is what's going to be required for the shots, and the amount of space he's working in is how much he gets in such a small space is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations on that as well. You really have to plan and figure things out ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't have a huge amount of space to work in. It's just what you see back here. So everything has to be designed to fit in the space that I have. I would love to build a permanent layout like Christian's got. That is, a pipe dream of mine, but I need a big place for that, and I don't have that quite yet. Maybe we'll get there one day.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful for my old man because he's the reason why this was possible. But Luca, if you're ever in New York, you are always welcome to come over. You can bring your sleeping bag. You're welcome to sleep down here with the trains. And if you leave and everything's gone, honestly, I won't care because I know it's all in good hands. So.
Yeah, I don't think I want to leave that room. I think I'll be quite happy for a while. So yeah, I might take you up on that.
Well, Luca, great job with the YouTube videos, and it's really amazing, remarkable what you do. So great job. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing it.
No worries. I'm glad to share it, and I hope someone learns something, takes something on, and makes something amazing for themselves. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Luca, for joining us tonight. And for you, it's in the morning, so we really appreciate is showing your whole, I guess, setup of Thomas the Tank and the videos and all that stuff. So really great stuff. And Doug, you've been busy this past month. I've heard a lot of people saw you around.
Well, I did attend, was able to attend by the kind invitation of Brandon Cardy and Ahmad Akfa to attend the premiere of An Unlikely Fandom. It was, let's see, I think it was the Tuesday after Thanksgiving or the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, I think. And it was an awesome event. And I was just really happy to be there and be a part of it, and to see the enthusiasm of the people, the crowd, the fandom that was there, and also to see all the hard work by Cardy and Ahmad and the entire production team pay off in such a huge way. It was just a terrific event. And I'm sure people watching the stream tonight know that there was two amazing special guests at the premiere. It was Rick Sigelkow, who was the original producer for Shining Time Station, and of course Britt Allcroft, who was who brought the stories of the Reverend Audrey to life in the TV series. So to see both of them, to meet both of them, and to hear from both of them was just a real privilege, and I appreciated the opportunity to be there. And so I did take a few photos. I don't know if you're ready to share those. Well, there you go. So there's, I was, as I said, fortunate enough to meet Britt Allcroft, and I told her, I thanked her for the life experience she gave me in working with Bachmann and being responsible for the Thomas and Friends licensing. What a privilege it was to bring the products to market, so many other people can enjoy them, and just a way of carrying on her vision and the Reverend Audrey's vision as well. But to meet her was just an amazing experience. And both Britt and Rick said independently of each other of how much it meant to them to be at this event and to get all the feedback from the fandom, and how rewarding it was to see their work carrying on in an unexpected way, really, for so long, and it gave them great pleasure. So anyway, just a great opportunity. And Britt was very gracious. She stayed afterwards and after the premiere and signed autographs along with Rick. And I think everyone who wanted to meet them got the opportunity to do so.
That's great.
So that is one of the original models used in the series.
Really?
And so that was, I apologize, I don't remember the name of the collector. Probably, Christian, you might know who the owner of that model is. And go ahead.
I don't know him by name, but I know of him.
Okay, and I met him, and I forgot, I don't recall his name right now, but he was very gracious to bring these models to the premiere. And then I think the next photo is probably of Thomas as well. But to see, the original models, it's just so interesting, and to picture, what you see in front of you there, and how it's used in the series, and it was just great fun to see that, and the fact that someone brought it to the premiere was a beautiful addition to the evening.
Very nice.
So there's an original Thomas model as well.
Wow.
And I don't recall, what series it was used on, or if all of them, or just a limited amount. But both of these were, as I said, original to the series.
Very cool.
Peter, Sam, I know for sure, Luca, you can definitely back me up on this, was in your favorite season 4, series 4.
Yeah.
Yes, the original narrow gauge season of the show.
Yeah,
So,
and he was
it's
missing
amazing.
for a good few years there. I think no one knew exactly where he was, and then
Yeah.
surprised he turned up at the event. So that was pretty exciting to see that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Real quick, Ken, Doug, we're crazy as fans. Like we go through each model from each season of the show. We're trying to track down, okay, where is this model in the world? Where's that model in the world? Here's hoping it's in good condition. It's in good hands. So we have like a whole checklist. All right, so now Peter, Sam, check it off.
How many are still outstanding? Many or few?
It's hard to say.
Oh.
Some of them we may never know.
Yes.
Right.
Some are out there still, but as the years go on, we're finding more a little at a time. So that's all that counts. So
I think
excellent.
We've got all the narrow gauge engines now from Series 4. Is that right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So that's a very good milestone to have. It's a very good set of characters to have preserved there.
Wonderful.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just thought I should say that.
No, not at all. So this was the welcome screen that greeted the audience when we came into the theater. It was held at the Museum of the Motion Picture. It was in Queens, New York. Beautiful facility. I'd like to go back at some time to actually see the museum, but it was a great theater and a great venue for the event. So there's Cardi with Rick Siggelkow, and as I said, they both Rick and Britt Allcroft spoke, and they spoke of some of the experiences in creating the series and bringing it to TV. And again, the main point, my big takeaway was just how much the fandom meant to them at this stage of their lives. To get it was rewarding feedback that they were getting from the fandom, and it was just very meaningful to them, and that's why they made the trip to come to the premiere to express their appreciation, I think.
That's great.
Just a different view. There's probably a couple like this. I didn't edit too much. And some of these are other people's photos as well. So there's Britt Allcroft at the podium. And they it wasn't like a quick in and out kind of thing. They spent time. They really engaged with the audience. They took questions, and it was a great interactive experience as well. Pictured there is Charlie Guanasso, myself, and Tyler Haney. He's our assistant product development manager, and I'm not sure as many people know him on this live stream, but he's done other events for other podcasts, and you'll be seeing more of Tyler in the future. He's a great guy, and Charlie's a good friend of ours at Bachmann.
Very cool.
This was a producers panel discussion after the movie was shown, and they were also answering some questions and talking about their experiences, and just to see this group of gentlemen and how hard they worked to bring the movie to life, and of course, Cardi in particular was related to some of the stresses he had been through. It was just a huge project. And the fact that they did it and did such a great job, they deserved every moment of applause they got, and they got a lot of it.
Very cool.
Another continuation of the panel discussion with both Rick and Britt, and again, they were taking questions and enjoying the time that they were spending at the premiere. Another detail shot there, and a whole crew.
Very nice. That's great.
So I gotta hold up my pin here for a second. I also have this pin from the evening. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see. Gotta get it to flash right there. So,
Nice.
so anyway, I was wearing this pin as a proud member of the fandom, of an unlikely fandom. It was a great event, and I was, on behalf of Bachmann, proud to be there and proud to participate, and whatever we could contribute to the fandom and the movie, and continuing the excitement for Thomas way beyond what anyone expected. It was our pleasure to do.
That was great. We wish we could have been there. Actually, Matt was there. Chris and I were not able to attend, but we heard such great things, and people want to know how they could watch it. So I'm not sure if anyone out there knows what the next steps is, if they're going to do a DVD or maybe a series, something to release. But tons of people want to have interest in this, so it'd be really neat to see what happens next.
Yeah, I don't have any additional information at this time, so I don't know if Christian has anything to add or not, but I don't know that it's determined just yet.
Yeah, last I heard is that they're just working on, the DVD release and any sort of virtual release possible. So hopefully, within the next few months or so, we'll hear some updates.
I'm still hoping that Netflix picks up the series. So, but there's always that. You never know.
Exactly. Well, when it comes out, it's well worth seeing, and I know everybody on this live stream will want to see it. It was a great movie, and you'll enjoy it.
Very neat.
Fantastic.
All right, Doug. And anything new in model wise for this year, or any updates you want to go over?
I don't have anything to show this evening. I will have, certainly for the next live stream event in February. What I should be able to show at that time is the first painted sample for N-Scale Emily. Ooh. So keep your fingers crossed. No guarantees ever, but that's what I'm hoping to show next time.
Very cool. That's great. And just to go over a couple of things before we do end, new arrivals. So the latest release that came out was the N-Scale Toad brake fan. So that's hot and in stock, as well as the chocolate, Mr. Jolly's chocolate, that came in a little while ago, but it's still new arrival. And also Brendan Bay Shipping Co. I think, Christian, you got these in right?
Yes,
Right
yes.
before
And
Christmas
as a
time.
matter of fact, Ken, in the Henry video, I have both of them on his train. So I put that into consideration when it was all intentional. It's all intentional. Everything is calculated in my videos.
The
Very
latest and greatest for Henry.
And Toad, we
Definitely.
actually sold out for a brief moment. And again, that's why it's so important for getting your pre-orders in. We got it in, we sold out so quickly, and we had to reorder and have the Bachmann team rush it in to get it in time for Christmas again. So that's why it's so important to pre-order these Bachmann Thomas items. And the top Bachmann N scale pre-order the Thomas and Friends Gordon, the Express engine. We're taking pre-orders on this beautiful steam engine. It is the highest pre-sold Thomas item at the moment right now. It's going to be awesome. I know Christian's excited for this one.
Very excited. And Doug, for the 2024 catalog, will there be an updated product image of the N-scale Gordon?
Yeah, I don't. We might be using this one. Not sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
This is an HO one.
Yeah, this is the HO. That's why I was.
Oh, I'm
asking.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, we will definitely have an N scale image for the catalog.
Okay.
100%.
Awesome.
And the second highest mount is, of course, Thomas, the DCC and Sound. So that's another pre-order that's been doing really well. So definitely get your pre-orders in, whether you're N scale, HO, narrow gauge, G scale. Thomas Bachmann does it all. So make sure you collect all the scales now.
Don't forget Percy with Sound too.
Yes, Percy as well. So yes, the lucky logo, DCC. Yes, DCC and Sound.
Better believe it.
So very good. But awesome. Another one for the record books, Christian, 2024, Thomas Tuesday, the first one of the year. It's great to be back, and we appreciate Christian for putting together all these shows. And sorry about the hiatus for December. We were slightly a little busy for December, but we are getting back to the routine of things. And we want to thank Bachmann for always supporting the fandom and creating all these great Bachmann Thomas items, as well as Luca for coming on the show tonight. Really amazing YouTube channel and a scenery, diorama that's just, I don't know, that's got to be maybe 4 feet, but he does a whole video with 4 feet. So it's incredible. And Christian, as always, wonderful job, and we appreciate having another year of Christian.
You know me, Ken. You ain't getting rid of me anytime soon. I'll tell you that. But happy to help in any way possible. Thank you so much for the opportunity, even when I'm out in the Midwest doing other commitments. So
we love you, Christian. So we appreciate it, and thank you everyone out there. We couldn't do it without you for a tremendous year of Bachmann Thomas success. So here's to another year. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon on the flip side. I guess February, first Tuesday of every month.
Bring it on.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me.